Oh, Sega. What's the best weapon for Eula? The one that's on the banner, duh. No. Sega, I don't understand why you don't know this by now.
I get it! You're free to play! Shut up!
Oh, you do know. Well, anyways, what's the best free-to-play weapon for Eula?
Probably the one that you've already built.
That's not an answer.
So would you like a tier list or something?
You're so dumb. Of course I want a tier list. Also, Schubert's a champ.
All right. So we have created a weapon tier list for Eula that the community kind of agrees with, kind of not agrees with, mostly agrees with, whatever. It's like, it's fine. It's close enough. And this is going to be the weapon priority tier list based on the testing that I've done for Eula for different 4-star weapons, 5-star weapons, videos that I've seen for people using these weapons, etc. And what I want to say about this tier list, it is not an ordered tier list. All right, so in the trash dog shit tier, these weapons are awful on Eula. And this tier list, by the way, is only for Eula's weapons and not for weapons in general for every character in the game. It is for just Eula, okay? Just Eula. Rain Slasher is terrible. The reason Rain Slasher is terrible is because it has an elemental mastery main stat and increases damage taken on enemies that have Hydro and Electro proc on them. Now, the thing is, you don't need either of those things, and even if you did use Electro proc on the enemy all the time, and you got Cryo proc every so often with Superconduct, it's trash. Don't do it, okay? It's a really bad idea. Next up, we got these, I think it's called the Skyrider Greatsword. Is that it? Yep, Skyrider Greatsword. Okay, so next we have the Skyrider Greatsword. This one is for like new players. This one's the new player weapon. If you're brand new to the game, you have Eula randomly. That's a fine weapon. It's fine. Go ahead and start with that. It's good. Okay, but it's trash late game, but it's good for now. All right, we got Bell R1 through R5 is trash. Debate Club also same thing. These both are okay. If you wanted to use them at the start, sure, and then better refines a little bit better. Favonius is not good because of low base attack for Eula. At R1. The Royal Greatsword at R1 is bad. White Blind, not super great, and so is Sacrificial Sword. All these at R1, not great weapons. However, when you start leveling up the weapons with refines, that's when they get a little bit better. So Skyrider Greatsword, probably gonna be a decent weapon for Eula. If you're like really starting out, kind of mad, as far as overall damage goes, it's an okay weapon. Lithic, not really great on Eula because she is a Mondstadt character. Now, arguably, if you do put all 3 leeway characters in the team, it potentially could be good, and it does have a higher amount of attack percentage, but I'm not really a fan of this weapon overall because it's just way too bad at R1, and then at R5, but is maybe a little better, but it's just, yeah, whatever. And then a lot of you are gonna ask me about the Serpent Spine. Okay. So the reason I put the Serpent Spine in the kind of met here, very much different at Refine 5, is because of who Eula is. Eula is a character that's coming in 8 months into the game. And if you're a player that's just now getting a Serpent Spine on your R1 Serpent Spine, for Eula, probably not the best choice to just start a main DPS if you're a budget player with the Serpent Spine 8 months into the game and expecting good results. And now you have to wait another 7.5 months to get this weapon max refined. So that's why that's another reason why it's lower in the tier list at Refine 1. Plus, the other part of it is that it has an increased damage taken stat. And since Eula's a main DPS and can be out in the field a lot, she's probably going to take a lot of hits, and in which case they're going to break your shields a little bit easier. And if you're newer to Genshin Impact and you're not really like fluid with dodging, you're not perfect at everything, a lot of these things are going to make this weapon a little bit lackluster for you at Refine 1, okay? Now we go into the kind of mega weapons. We got the Royal Greatsword at R5, probably going to be on the same tier as Serpent Spine, just the Bay Club, Favonius, White Blind, and Sacrificial Greatsword. All of these at R5. Sure, if you don't have another option, it's fine. Whatever, it's good. Okay, I think it's fine. Okay. Next up, we got the Copium tier. Copium, if you don't know, if you're not a person that watches Twitch or a person that watches any type of social media and YouTube and stuff like that, is basically the metaphorical opiate that you use to cope with opium called Copium. So basically, it is something that you decide to smoke because you're like, it's fun. Okay. There's emotes to go along with it, as you can see over there. All right, so the Copium tier of these weapons is going to be the Prototype Archaic at Refine 1, Blackcliff Slasher Refine 1, Serpent the Snow Tomb Star Silver at Refine 1, the Lithic Blade at R5, and the Snow Tomb Star Silver at R5. Now the reason these are going to be lower in the tier list is because the Prototype Archaic at R1 doesn't really provide huge value overall to the damage that you can really get with only a 240% proc, and the max, I think the proc on the Snow Tomb Starter is 200% and caps out at 360, I believe, when there's cryo applied. Now the problem with the Snow Tomb Star Silver is because it is going to be a lower proc, plus it requires cryo to be enabled at the same time. The Snow Tomb Star Silver, so we can pull it up here, is a physical damage increase weapon, and it has the same base attack, and at max refine is, again, as I said, 360% extra attack damage, and it's an AoE proc. So all of that is good, but the main issue with this weapon at Refine 5 is you have to have cryo applied. Now with Eula, that's less of an issue, but if you're ever using Superconduct or using a Melt Comp or any other kind of React, this is not going to do as much damage with on Eula as the Prototype Archaic, because the Prototype Archaic at Refine 5 is, instead of having 360%, is actually going to go all the way up to, let's see if we can find it, Prototype Archaic, 480%. Now the highest I've hit with this at the level 80 Prototype Archaic is like 75,000 so far with a Prototype Archaic proc. And this weapon at Refine 5 is a little bit easier to get. Also, the thing about the Prototype Archaic, that the reason I'm rating it higher at Refine 1 and why the Refine 5 is going to be in this tier, is because if you're a free-to-play player that's investing into these weapons, the Prototype Archaic is so much more valuable transferring to other characters. Whereas the Snow Tomb Starfiller is Eula specific, and there's not really any other character in the game that can maximize this weapon to its fullest potential. Eula's the only character that can. So the Prototype Archaic is going to be a better option, and that's why it falls into a lower tier. I don't believe that free-to-play players that are investing into weapons should go for the Refine 5 Snow Tomb Star Silver, because other weapons like the Prototype Archaic are going to be a much better long-term option for different characters. Now, next in the tier list, we have the regular people who can't afford $50,000 a year, but these weapons are bitchin'. Now, all these weapons are pretty much at the same power scale. The Skyward Blade, which is going to be a proc weapon based upon the number of hits with energy recharge, is awesome. The Unforged Wolf Gravestone are pretty much the same power level as far as the overall attack percentage gains that you go over the time that you have the weapon. The Song of Broke-Ass Pines is also really, really freaking strong, but all four of these weapons are going to be pretty much at the same power level. Now, the weapon for the Skyward, the Song of Broke-Ass Pines, potentially could be in a higher tier. The only reason being I would put this in a higher tier is if you have this weapon at Refine 1, but you also have a thing like C2 Gene in order to be like, you know, just a little bit more whale and just have like these really high constellations on other characters, it potentially could be a higher tier just because of how the attack speed works with her ultimate. Now, if you are someone who has higher stuff, yeah, this is going to be the best weapon of all these weapons. But to be honest, the damage increase is not going to be so much overall that you're not going to see a huge damage increase between these weapons. You're only going to see a huge damage increase on the ultimate per se. And that's why this weapon is going to be better on Eula specifically. Now, the R5 Prototype Archaic and the R5 Blackcliff Slasher and the I have tested, and they are extremely strong. And yes, I did find them to be on the same power scaling as these three, as the Skyward Spine and the Wolf Gravestone. I didn't really get to test this weapon besides in the original testing scenario of the game. So I do know that I really like this weapon. It was really, really strong. Unforged, I can just do math on this, and it's so that if you have Zhongli with this, it's going to be great. But the only weapon I didn't test, and what I had to watch YouTube videos for to like test out and see if it's going to be good, is the Refine 5 Serpent Spine. And if you are someone who has been investing into Serpent Spine for a long time, has R3, R4, R5 Serpent Spine, then yes, it's an exceptional weapon. It's just not that great at Refine 1 to start on a Serpent Spine at this point in the game. You're probably a little bit late to the party on that one, and you should have focused on a different weapon at that point. It's going to be easier for you to max refine a different weapon. The Prototype Archaic, this is such an amazing weapon. This is the #1 free-to-play weapon I recommend. It's so strong, it's so good for many different characters, and the proc on it is substantially high, so I definitely recommend this weapon. Seeing how this weapon is better for both Razor and Eula, and if you are a person that plays both of those characters and want an interchangeable weapon, this weapon is a better choice overall. Now, of course, Refined 5 of all the bitchin' weapons are, of course, in the Tenha and Tectone tier for Mega Omegalodon whales that really want to go Wallet Warrior in the game, and these weapons are the best weapons for Eula. And of course, the R5 Sky Song of Broke-Ass Pines is going to be the best weapon of all the batch, but of course, these other weapons have different value systems, and you can try different ways of using them to maximize the overall damage. They're just awesome in general, so no matter what, they're going to be good. Alright guys, well that's going to be it for this tier list video regarding Eula's weapons. Let me know what you guys would rank differently in this tier list in the comment section down below. Not everything we get right the first time within the first day of having the character, so not of course everything is perfect. So let me know what you guys think. If there are going to be different things that you see differently here, we can always adjust things and amend things in the comment section to let people know that these things are different. But you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.